Nobody's Famous podcast. All right, guys, and we're back on the Nobody's Famous podcast, and we are back with a very, very special episode today. You guessed it, with the one and the only Stephanie
The only.
Haddad, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I want to start by welcoming you on the Nobody's Famous podcast. And do you have any opening statements that you'd like to say?
I love wow, on the spot you put me. No opening statement, just hi. Thank you for having me. And yeah, but I googled my name and there's a lot of Stephanie Haddads, unfortunately. So
Unfortunately, well, you
not very
see,
unique of a name.
yeah, well, you see, this is the moment. This is the defining moment where when people will search, they will find something else. Moving on to you, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. You are someone who is very in touch with yourself. You have a kind message to the world. You are very expressive, outspoken, and and you are very creative. You are you should consider a career in stand-up comedy, and you will always speak your mind. And we want to talk about and we want to talk about so many different things here together. So I'm very, very happy to have you on the show. I have the first big question for you, and the question is: self-expression is your core. This is what I noticed. Convince someone that this is the right path in life.
Okay. I'll just basically tell you my story, like my life from when I was 14, 15, you know, approaching puberty, a young girl. I was sort of a tomboy when I was growing up. And there was one incident where we were at church, like my family and I were at church, and my mom put me in a dress and I was walking, you know, just the way I want to walk, and not necessarily considering I have a dress. So while I was walking, my mom was like, Stephanie, just, you know, walk a little bit more elegantly. What's wrong with you? You know, you're a grown-up lady, yalla walk. I was like, who's watching? She's like, ماما بتعرفي مين ممكن يشوف. I was like, okay, but imagine they saw me. I go home, what زادوا شي حياتي نقصوا شي من حياتي. Their opinion on me, did it change anything in me? Did my comfort change at all? She's like, you don't know what will people talk when they get home. I'm like, if I'm gonna live my life based on what people talk, and by the time I exit church, I'm never gonna see them again, what kind of life am I living? المهم, fast forward now, I'm turning 26 in a month, so 10 years later, all my life experiences, all the difficulties and the sacrifices I've had to make taught me that if I were to change my way anytime during this life of mine, no one would have gained anything, but I would have lost, like, my authenticity, the genuine person that I am. So I feel like if someone does exactly what they feel like doing in the same moment that they feel it, and stick to their self-expression, then the world would be so much easier. People would be less tense all the time. People would just do whatever it is they wanted to do without thinking 100 times. So if you were given a choice whether or not to express yourself, then you should always choose the actual self-expression, because I think no matter what you do, some people are going to judge you, whether you're proud of what you did, whether they like what you did or they don't. There's always going to be someone judging. So just do whatever you want to do.
I agree. It's a very difficult thing actually to do, and I'm speaking from either personal experience or even experiences of other, or somebody might be thinking the same thing. I completely agree with your point, yet I have to say it's quite difficult. It's difficult to come, you know, to come to terms with that and say, I don't care what other people think of me. I'm just gonna do whatever. You just get built in a society where you need to make sure you can still keep those bridges and not burn them down with people that you care about. So it's a very very difficult path to navigate, I think, in my opinion, because but going back to what you said, I think once you make that decision, or you accept that you're not gonna live somebody else's life, you know, keep always thinking what they are, what are they gonna think of me, what if I did this? What are they going to think? If you accept the fact that you need to live your own life, nobody's going to live it for you, then I think it'll just come naturally, and you will always have this self-expression. And one of the good things that happened with you is that you were aware so early on. You were aware about that
which
at a
isn't
very young
always
age.
the case.
For me, like, I'm pretty late to the
It's
party.
not always the case.
Yeah, I'm pretty late to the party. So maybe my 20s,
No
I
such
was like,
thing.
I like to make an entrance, but as you said, it's a good thing to be aware quite early. So hopefully somebody will watch this and say, yeah, I think you should take that path right now.
Yeah, it worked out for me. I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like they say, those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter.
Correct.
Next.
Correct.
Next.
And with that, on to the next question. Okay, I have this one, and this is about a bit about your profile, a bit about your page and everything. Through your experience on social media, you've experienced that it's an amazing thing. You've said to me that you love it. You love social media, but it also has a lot of negative effects, whether it's like criticism, people, for example, you comparing yourself to others, misinformation, all these kinds of things. Maybe you can tell us how you navigate this landscape in the situation that you're in, and the type of person that you are.
All right, so like you said, it came early on, the whole not giving a crap about what people say. But مثلا, the first night that my video went viral, it went viral on Lebanese, which is now developing this image that it's like the pro-bullying Instagram page and whatnot. But at the time, 2.5 years ago, it wasn't that bad. So when they reposted the video, the caption was basically, they were calling me a crackhead because I was so frustrated in the car expressing myself. So their caption was قامت جمعية something المخدرات بنشر هيدا الفيديو or something like that. So people started commenting and saying إنه يا حرام شو أخذ هي شو شامة and lots of people were leaving comments. So these were funny, they were cute, I understand, but some people were swearing at me. Some people were commenting on the way I looked, although that wasn't even the aim of the video. Some people were talking about, oh, how can a girl be so vocal? And it's like, what does my genitalia have to do with my self-expression? المهم, that one night when I was reading the comments, I don't know how, I had like an out-of-body experience where I would always wonder what like these famous bloggers do when they get these negative comments. So obviously not to compare myself to them. But when I was viewing the comments from an outside perspective, I was like, this can go two ways. They can crush me. But then again, who are they? What's user 127_chocolate gonna do to my life? And all these people that leave the hate comments, Ali, are literally, they don't have pictures. They don't have display pictures. They don't have any posts. They follow from these ghost accounts. So it's like, why? Why am I gonna let these people get in my way? So whatever, I, alhamdulillah, happened to take the other way out. So I posted more videos on my story, responding to these people, saying إنه يلي مفكرني مثلا محششة إنه لا, don't worry, شكرا لاهتمامكم ولكن لا يوجد أي مخدرات هنا. So I was making fun of them. I was using it as a sarcastic way. I turned it into my own, you can always mold these things, because before these comments came into my life, I was Stephanie, and now that they came into my life, I'm still going to be Stephanie. But like you said, it came early on, and it was just because of, like, let's say, the self-esteem or the confidence that was built into me, whether it's nature or nurture. So that was for the first few months, negative or hate comments and whatnot, but it just became like a show. Yeah, and my friends and I would sit and gather and we'd say, Yalla, what are the new comments? And you should see my mom's responses. Yalla. My mom تمسك التليفون for 3 days in a row, نازلة فيهم ما تركت كلمة ما شيك. She's like, hey, the بنتي, what are they saying, whatnot? So it's just the خفة دم that my mom and my brother and my boyfriend and my sister and my family and my friends had. It was very hard to get affected, because I thought of it as a good thing. I was like, oh my God, I've just gained a platform. And ever since I was a kid, I've always been so self-expressive. So I was just loud. I just had so much in me that I wanted to express. So I had a platform now. And I turned it into something awesome, in my opinion. So that was the first few weeks. And then slowly, when people started realizing the value of the content I'm putting out, how I changed my whole page from comedy to like self-love and just motivational speeches and whatnot, I haven't received one hate comment in a good 2 years, no joke, because there's nothing to hate on. And I always approach topics that are super controversial, whether it's LGBTQ, whether it's women and their self-expression in our community, mental health in the Arab world, how some people demean it simply because we're Arab, you know, we don't have the mental problems. So all of these things, I take them when I see this negativity, even if it's not targeted at me. When I see it, I take it and I try to voice it in my own way. And I'm using it for my benefit and to like educate the community that doesn't know how to express themselves. And so many people use my videos as their guard. Like some girls tell me, no, I feel the same way, but my parents don't listen to me. And then I post a video about it. So they take the video to their parents and they say, oh, I couldn't have said it the way you said it. So thank you for giving me, like, voicing my opinion. So obviously it's not the same for everyone, but it is controllable. You can control how much random people's comments get to you with time, with effort, with the proper support. And eventually you just cut their tongues, يعني, block them, report them, restrict them, which is a new thing that I love. Like, you don't have to block them, but you restrict them. It's like حدك هونيك الزمه. So yeah, well, I can talk till tomorrow. Huh?
Yeah, no, I love we have no short answers here, and I think thank you for that. You should keep
Awesome.
going. You should keep going. Whenever you feel like stopping, just stop and I can respond. But,
Yeah, I stopped.
yeah, but no, I think you know, we had a couple of questions like this previously also on the show, and you make an interesting point, which is try to your best to keep it online. You know, keep the don't let it spill into your life. For you, you had a great support system around you of people who would just take it like in a, you know, a funny way. These are just people that are just you know, commenting and stuff like that. I think though it's just hard, you know, it's just hard for you to go and like you go through the comments, and what struck me was like you were saying some people were swearing at you. Swearing for what reason? Like what was the reason?
Like, what's wrong with her? What's wrong
Mm.
with her? What does she think she is? I'm like, yeah, what did I do? Nothing made sense. And I'm telling you, these are the user 2172_chocolate.
Mhm.
And there's no context. I don't know what they were talking about. And now when I see people commenting on others' videos, 85% of the time, and I'm very confident with my statistics, they don't know what they're saying, and there's no proper relation from the comment to the video or to the person.
Great. Well, I think, I mean, that was a great experience for you to springboard you into this place where you can go. It's like, hey, now I can help others, you know, and explain to them, you know, if they don't know how to say something, I can help them, and then this is what it is. And I wanted to ask you about, I mentioned before, comparing yourself to others, which is one of the negative things about social media. Is that something that you think people do? Like in your experience, you found that, or have you found yourself doing that at some point, even before you went viral or after? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's inevitable when you live in a world where you have access to so many lifestyles, so many different levels of education, so many body types, so many wealth and standards. There's so much, and you always think, you know, oh, what would I do if I was there? What would I do if I looked like that? What would I do if that? But these thoughts, you can either use them to hurt yourself and say, oh, I am unworthy, they are better. Or you can say, oh, they're in this area, I'm in this area, they're in this area, they're in this area. And then with experience, with growth, I learned that no one that I know has it all. Whether some people are a bit more well off or have a better body or have better health or whatnot, we are a combination of perfections and imperfections. And once you learn to grasp this and understand it, which I'm fortunate to have, and you know, I've embraced what I do have, what I don't have, and متسامحة مع حالي, like they say. So once you get to that point, it becomes easier. But let's say I didn't have this ability and I did not have this blessing, then it's very hard, especially for these young girls. Bro, man, my sister is 18, okay, turning 19. And she's a beautiful girl, yani. She shows me these young girls who are 14, 15. You cannot tell they're 14, 15. They're glammed up head to toe, and they all have like TikTok careers, and they make millions and whatnot, and they have like the Aston Martins and the Ferraris and the mansions. Like, check out my new 7 mil home. So for the younger generation, it's very difficult. Like in you and I's generation, we didn't have this. Yani MSN.com, سقفة.
It was ASL, and that was it. You know, was the
What's ASL?
age, sex, and where do you live? You don't know that? You don't know ASL?
Oh no, I don't know that.
It was, you would go into chat rooms and you would just say ASL interrogation mark, you know, and then age, sex, and then you know, where do you live? That's how we got to know people. That's how.
Wow.
Yeah, an MSN, and it was, oh my God, online. Oh my God, somebody's online. You know, like,
Oh
it
my
was such a
God.
big deal. It was such a big deal, and
Simpler times.
yeah, it was so simple. And I think, you know, if I have any advice to give to your sister, I think it's just something that, because I'm someone who does this. Like, I look and I say, I might not be working on the podcast one day, or I see somebody post something, or I go for weeks not doing anything, and then I look and I say, I should be doing that. Oh, I should be posting. I should be. So next question for you, Stephanie, is sarcasm. You do it so well. So let's talk about sarcasm, and let's make fun of social media a little bit. And my first question is, what do you think about the IG models and the influencers nowadays?
I think that it goes along with the title of your podcast, like the Nobody's Famous. These people, I swear, at the end of the day, let's say you scroll and you find like 30 models, just say passing your feed on your explore page or on your home feed. By the end of the day, when you go home, no one knows what their name is. Can you recall? Do you remember anyone's name? Unless it's like, oh, like one model that you love. Like, I don't know, let's call her Alessandra Ambrosio or something. Like that one, you know her, just one. But the rest of them, like, does anyone give them a name?
I think there's just too many, so it's hard to keep track. There's just too many.
Yeah, it's just become numbers, yani. It's not, and it's not even realistic. Masalan, if I were to go back to my university, I don't remember one classroom where someone looked like that. And if I were to go back to school, no one looked like that. And at work, no one looks like that. Except if you go to those posh clubs in Dubai, everyone looks like that. But you know, these people aren't there on a regular basis. Some were born with these bodies and whatnot. Good for you, go ahead. But no. Yani, what am I going to gain? And all these little girls are going to have this like horrible self-esteem, and they're not going to know if they're ever going to look like that. And oh my God, is this really achievable and whatnot? I'm not a hater, but I'm a realist. And you don't cross these people on a daily basis, so you shouldn't want to look like them. Like, better yourself, you know, like if you're a specific version and you want to better it, whether it's the way you look, your degrees, your level of intellect, your level of knowledge, better them if you feel like you're lacking. But مش إنه post someone's picture on your wall and say, I want to look like that. And that is the epitome of beauty, and no one should look anything except that, you know? And my sarcasm, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's before we move to sarcasm, there's this guy that I follow on Instagram, and his profile is like the database for all the models, because he takes photos of all of them. So he's called Martin Depict. No, he's called Martin Depict. So this way I don't need to go to their profiles. I can just go to his profile and I can see, you know, he's the database, you know.
He just
Sorry?
فرد مرة, one-stop shop.
Yeah, just go to his profile. He takes photos of everyone. So from there you have access. But I think we also touched on it in some of the previous questions, that definitely it's a big issue that's happening now, and a lot of people have to kind of compare and look and think that this is the goal, and this is and not just for models, by the way, it's just other stuff as well. And actually the reason why I asked you that question about comparing yourself, and this question as well, there I have two kind of reasons why I asked it. One of them is foreshadowing my final question about the show, and the other one was because you actually really touch on the subject quite a bit in most of your videos, but you do it with a hint of sarcasm, and sometimes
Things I post.
yeah, and I like the sarcasm of it. So what do you say about that? Do you think you'll keep on with your sarcastic ways, which I think it's amazing. It's a way to add the flair to your videos.
Yeah, it's proven that it's working, and it's proven that it delivers really serious topics in a very funny way. And it's honestly me being natural and genuine, and it's how I was raised, and this is how we approach topics. And I feel like every Arab family has, like, when you talk about really serious topics, they go like انه بلا هبل يعني, if you wanted to look this way روحي ما اشتكي لك 3 ثواني بطاطا بالفرن or something, and you're gonna look like that. So just the way I was raised and how the people speak around me, they've influenced the way I talk, and of course my friends, my teachers, etc. But well, it's proven to deliver, and there's so many girls. Boys also seek my advice via like direct message or emails or whatnot, but mostly girls, and they tell me that when something is so complicated in my mind, the way you break it down, even with humor, makes it so much lighter. Like, even if it's such a serious topic, you deliver it, makes it so much lighter. And the video I think of the most when I think of this is the video I made about the LGBT community, when the girl, she was an Egyptian girl, she was like an open homosexual woman, and she committed suicide for many reasons that led to it. But before I made the video, I was thinking, how do you deliver this message to a very homophobic society? Because like 85% of my followers are Lebanese people, but the generation speaks volumes. They're all the young people who understand what's happening in the world, the LGBTQ plus ABC, etc. community. They know that there's this world, and it's a very small number of people that are haters from my followers, because
I watched that video.
they know when they come to my page, I don't hate anyone. So yeah, so that got a lot of views. So in my mind, I'm like, how am I going to deliver this message to people who don't listen? Like, khalas, they're so adamant with their thoughts and their ideologies, and theirs is the only correct way. So I thought I'd hit like their emotional chord. So I wanted to deliver my message in a way. Wait, I want to formulate this properly. So the way I started the video is, you're each like, كل واحد بحق له يفكر مثل ما بده. Everyone, to each their own. It is what it is. This is your thought, this is mine. But why do people have so much confidence that they can decide how you should and shouldn't, what to do, what not to do, what's right and what's wrong? But then if you face these people in person, they don't know what to say. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to defend their opinions. So it's all just a form of power. It's all just pointing fingers. So that's how I was thinking. I was like, okay, I have to make this video in a way where I should stop them before they try to negate me, before they try to oppose what I was thinking, which is why I approached it in the sense, this woman, as well as the rest of like the LGBT community, know what's at stake when they come out. They know that they're going to lose family, they're going to lose friends, they might lose their status in community, they might lose their, like, the whole family name, the Arab family name رح يصير بالأرض if someone comes out as homosexual. Oh my God. So these people, they know that this is all at stake. So why would they come out if it's just, oh, it can be fixed, oh, it's a mental disorder? Like, how?
I think
So
the danger there is where you might not know what a person is going through, and then a lot of these hate comments, a lot of these issues come through, and what ends up happening is you're affecting somebody and you don't know that, and then just everything piles up and you don't know how somebody is feeling. This kind of subject, like, I distance myself from it, but because I don't, like, I'm not someone who understands what maybe people might be going through, etc. So for me, I will not, interfere in the way that might hurt them or might.
Would you push someone when they're down?
That's the thing. I think people don't realize how much hurt a simple comment might do.
Yeah.
So this is why
Which
I
is
think,
why I approached it with humor.
yeah, yeah. And going to the humor part of it, you have an inherent talent for comedy. And maybe you mentioned it earlier, the reason behind it, but do you think it comes from your, like, as you said, nature or nurture? Was you were like this, or did you kind of take a lot from your external experiences to then weave that into your videos?
هلا, when I was at a younger age, I wasn't as self-aware, so I can't really tell you. But when I listen to stories that my parents tell me and my aunts and my uncles, they tell me that you were always just a crazy child. And then fast forward into like my teen years, I was always the outspoken one. I wasn't afraid to embarrass myself. I kept pissing myself from laughter until I was 14 years old. Like, this is coming out publicly, and literally, Ali, you don't understand. I would laugh so hard that I'd piss myself at school, and our pants were gray. You went fat,
Oh
so the
yeah,
stain was,
you see
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
the stain was quite evident. So I never ran home crying in embarrassment. I don't know why. I was just always unfazed. So these things at that age, when I still wasn't that self-aware, I think it's that, like, that shows whether or not you are someone who's just gonna laugh throughout everything in life, or if you're gonna let things get to you. And from the age of 14, nothing got to me, and I was just a funny person, whether it be with teachers, super myself, super outspoken. And like, if I wanted to go to the bathroom for any reason, I would just come up and say it, because I knew it would make other people laugh. Because I knew that if the teacher said, "Oh no, Stephanie, you can't go to the bathroom, you already went to the bathroom," I'd go like, "طب ما شرفك يا زلمة, خليني نفوت على التواليت." Even when I was a kid, I would say that, you know. And at a younger age, these things aren't thought out. It was just me being
Hmm.
myself completely. So obviously Kamena, my surroundings, and my mom is the funniest woman I know. She comes up on my stories a lot, and a lot of people say, "You remind us so much of her. You guys are very similar." Hek. So I think it's a combination. I think it's like futra, as we say in Arabic. It was just something I was born with. And I'm so inspired by my mom, and I admire her so much that maybe subconsciously I adopted them.
Yeah, I think yeah, like you said, it's definitely a combination. It's just that there's that type of humor which I personally I really like. It's just, you know, you'll be talking about a very serious subject, and then suddenly there's a you know, a twist, and you're still like, and no, and it's okay, and so I think
Yeah, yeah.
this part I think I really understand and really like that comedy. And it's I mean, for me, one of my favorite types is dark humor, like dark comedy. So I think I like I mean, for me at least, I like it. So I think I like that the way that you handle things, especially given the topics that you discuss are very deep and very controversial, and also very difficult for people to listen to. So yeah,
Humor is universal, you know,
yeah, and
wherever it is,
yeah,
whatever the language.
definitely. And then sticking to humor, you do accents, do you?
A little bit, not a lot.
So yeah, let's do a bit of accents then. Let's see what you got.
Well, I feel like it's inevitable that we know, because we live in such a like diverse community. Let's just, I don't know. I've never tried to do it, take it on the spot. It just comes like, depending on if I'm angry, I always go for the Indian. I don't know why. If I'm confused, it's more of like the Filipino, like, hi, you know. But hella on the spot, I actually don't know what to say.
Yeah, yeah. No, because I was watching some of your videos, and what I really like is how you switch to that the Lebanese, you know, the Lebanese
What do you
ta-
mean, this one?
and
That's people's favorite.
I love it. And even like that moment when you're talking about your aunt, your recent video, like how you thought you had the virus and you were speaking to her, and then you imitated your aunt, and I was like, this is absolutely perfect. Like, this is an
Different
awesome,
characters.
it's an awesome imitation, and you put yourself in that situation, and you were just talking to all these different people. So I think it was really funny.
I love storytelling. I think that's where everything stems from. Just the fact that I love storytelling, and everything that happens can be interpreted in so many different ways. And if something serious or something scary happens, and you can tell it to someone while making them laugh, like, for example, last week was my mom's birthday, and we were all supposed to head to Dubai to spend the weekend. then they imposed the rule of the whole PCR and whatnot. So a lot of people had to do the PCR to go to Dubai and return. It wasn't worth it. We canceled. Fast forward now, we found out that had we gone to Dubai, we were going to be in the premises, like we were going to go to 2 events. Let's say both of them had coronavirus patients. Like both of them had people who had contracted the virus. So I'm coming to tell my mom this story, to tell her, ما بتصدقي قد ايه الله بحبنا. She's like, شو في؟ ليش شو صار? I'm like, just sit your ass down, make a cup of coffee, because like it's like this is bizarre. She's like, why? Tell me what happened. قولي. I was like, mom, لو كنا رحنا على X وكنا لقطنا الفيروس. She's like, ما تقولي لي. So the way I deliver stories, it's so much fun. Like even if it's something like, oh my God, Hazari bin Salman corona, he's at the hospital. If the person's fine, then it's not that dark of a humor, you know. Like, I know he's fine, you know, we can talk about it. So it's just these things that happen in life, you can deliver them in oh my God, thank God we didn't go. Or it can be like, guess what happened, God loves us. There's so many different ways to interpret a story. So I think all of this is because of storytelling. And the video that went viral, the tick, it was just me telling someone how to use their traffic indicator. And look where I am now. Oh, I don't know how I got here.
It's awesome. I just think the way it's been added to things, and the way you add either the accents or you add the comedy, it always brings a good relatable topic. And that's why I think this is also a reason for the success, you know, and many more to come.
Inshallah, yeah.
I think you like the subject, relationship talk. You want to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, I don't have any specific questions, so if you there's something that you want to say or something you want to touch on, given the recent situation and stuff like that, we can get into that.
Yeah, a few days ago, I happened to post a question about relationship. Wait, I posted something. By the way, I have the memory of a goldfish. Yani, I posted this and I forgot what it was. But basically, there's this girl that I've come in contact with through Instagram. Her name is Dana. She's a relationship life coach, self-love coach, blah, blah, blah. So we were discussing hosting a live. And while we were like doing some research before, I decided to ask my followers, what would you like to hear about relationships? And all the questions that were coming were things that you'd think you'd learn throughout life. Like, oh, he stopped talking to me. Should I stop should I stop trying? Oh, he told me he no longer wants to be with me. What do you mean? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And they're like, what? Like, should I read between the lines? And I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be that deep. So I don't know much about relationships. Yani, I'm in one relationship. I'm in one. Everyone should only be in one.
You should be in 7
at the time. One. So yeah, I've been in a relationship for a long time, 5 years, and I've learned a lot, but not to the extent where I can like give advice and teach others and whatnot. But I happen to be in an interreligious relationship. I'm Christian, he's a Muslim, and there's so many problems that have come and gone, and we've worked through some and we've learned, but it's obviously not the end. But yeah, to be honest, not much of an expert, yani, that I can discuss much.
No, I think because the video that you posted, like I watched it and I really agree with a lot of the things that you were talking about. I mean, it's always good to be honest. It's always good to try to not overcomplicate this already complicated relationship that men and women have. So
yeah.
So I think overcomplication and really just being honest with your feelings. And I understand, you know, you play the game at the beginning and definitely, you know, there's that back and forth, but then maybe when it comes to it, I think there's always needs to be straightforward. You can say, you know, this is what I expect. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, this is what I expect. Let's try and see where it goes. And then, you know, it can always be great. It can always be bad. That's the risk that you take. Otherwise, if there was no such risk, why would you take it? Like, why would people get into a relationship if it's always going to be great? It's always going to be great.
Exactly.
It's always great.
Yeah.
Khalas, we love each other.
No, impossible. Yeah, no, akid, there's ups and downs, just like friendships, yani, and any type of relationship, not just a romantic one.
Yeah, and that brings me to the other thing that I would like to discuss with you. It's the pressure on men and the feminism thing that you discussed, both of those two things, and let's put them together, and and let's just discuss that subject as a whole. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm a guy, and I agree with what you said about the pressure on men and how they get a lot of pressure from women that they have to be ready, and only then I'm gonna be with that person, or and
Yeah.
but um it's also like the crazy expectations that we, whether a guy or girl, we put on each other. We put crazy
Yeah,
expectations on each other.
it is. Yeah. And I think it's tradition. Like if you think back when when women used to stay at home and men used to go to the war, and when they would come back, like, oh, like who had the best stats? Yeah. Okay, oh, okay, you're a great guy. Okay, we're gonna give you our daughter. And somehow it's worked its way to everyone thinks that it's the extreme. Like if he's not incredibly well off and he has everything set out for him, then you're not gonna have a good life. There's no more average. There's no more. Everyone has become such an extremist, and obviously, like video footage of all these incredible Lebanese weddings and whatnot. Everyone thinks, oh, this is the best for my daughters. This is what she deserves, nothing less. And it's like, do you know how if these people are nice or not? Do you know if they're good or not? Do you know if they worked hard for their own money? Like, who is your daughter going to be with at the end of the day? Is it the car she's going to cuddle with at night, or is it the brain that's going to be with her, talking to her until the end, like, of her life? So in terms of society, I only know I was born and raised in an Arab family, so I know that this happens here. I don't know about the rest of the world, because I'm assuming it's the same. Yeah, and everyone wants the best for their daughter, but no one ever thinks that, why can't the best be a team effort? Why must it only be given on a silver platter? When these times with like the level, like the economy and the living in Dubai, masalan, if you think of rent, if you think of how much expenses you have, but putting all that pressure on one member of the relationship, whether it be the boy or the girl, is a bit not fair. It's just not fair. So yeah, that's what got me to talking about this, because even when I sit with people from my own family and we watch these Lebanese weddings and whatnot, they're like, wow, قد إيه بتكون مبسوطة هلا هيدا. They immediately assume that these materialistic things are going to make or break the relationship, which pisses me off. So that's why I just grabbed my phone and I'm like, sit your ass down. This isn't all that there is to life. And so many young men approached me saying, thank you. This woman, they didn't let me marry her. I know we've been dating for like 10 years, simply because I don't have like the Porsche of the season. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I think I mean, maybe I don't experience it that much often, or at least maybe the people I'm around don't actually think of these things that much, but I still find it surprising that there is this kind of things that happen, like where, this actually, because, apart from the fact that we are living through a very difficult time now, even before, I just think that it's, even from the way that I was raised in my family, there's no that kind of view that, has to be super well off and has to do, etc., etc. And we do have this mentality of a team effort. And it's also for me, for me, a team effort is such a, like, I want her to be my best friend, like, I don't want it to be I just think that I wanted to ask you that question because I wonder why there's still so much of that, and putting pressure on either side of the relationship is definitely incorrect. There's another point I wanted to raise, but still, like, between the relationship between men and women, don't you think that there's still things that guys should be doing and girls should be doing, like in a relationship? Like, so for example, like, there's things naturally that a guy should do and naturally that a girl should do. And I'm not talking about just raising like the child, like that's something that is inherent to the mother, right? But it's also naturally inherent that that the man is the one that will solve problems. And again, the reason why I'm saying this is, don't get me wrong, I'm saying this because it's just something what's with each gender's nature. It's not a wrong thing.
Yes.
And I think it's normal to have this kind of separation, but to understand that. So for example, I was told a very nice example a long time ago from someone who said, you know, the reason her name is Mais Muhammad. She gave me a very lovely explanation of why men and women actually don't get along. Is that, for example, a guy might come back home after work, super exhausted, solving problems the whole day, and is fine to start solving another problem. And then his significant other might come down and sit next to him and say, by the way, you know what happened with me today? So and so happened, so and so. The guy will automatically start to solve the problem. But the female doesn't want him to solve the problem, just wants him to listen.
She just wants him to listen.
Exactly. Now you see that
I never thought of that.
Yeah. So see, the disconnect between these two things is what causes issues, because the guy is not doing it in a bad way. That's just what he needs to do. Like, I'm not
it's just nature.
and I see, this is why I want to also make it very clear. I'm not saying that women are not also solving problems throughout the day. I'm just saying, naturally, this is we're saying in that specific situation, that's what a guy is programmed to do. A man is programmed to, there's a problem, we'll solve it. It's how our brains are wired. And a woman is the same way. She has problems. She just wants somebody to listen. She will solve them on her own, but she just wants somebody to listen. But then the disconnect starts happening, and which causes, let's say, you know, arguments, disagreements, and silly fights that at some point in the future might say, like, why is it such a big fight now? It used to be super normal before.
Yeah, that's true. And I feel like now, if I were to think of my own relationship or the relationships around me that I see on a daily, I feel like it's becoming less and less like that. Like, it is, like you said, nature. They can't help it. When someone tells them a story, for me personally, as a woman, when I speak to my girlfriend, it's just like, oh, listen to this, listen to that. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? But when I talk to my guy friends, they always wonder, like, oh, I wonder why that is. Oh, like, maybe it's because of this, maybe because of this. And I never thought of it as a problem solving nature. But yeah, that's a very interesting point. And now, as relationships grow and as they evolve, when people are more aware of other relationships, I feel like they know what they want and what they don't want. And I would like to come home, masalan, one day, and if I'm too tired, like, my husband can help me do the dishes. Or if one day I want to go spend like a weekend getaway with my girlfriends, I think it's more than okay if the guy stays with the kids. So I feel like our generations are more like towards this ideology and more towards this mentality, and further from the, oh yeah, the woman's the one that's at home. She's the one that, if needed, should quit her job, not the man. But now it's changing.
Yeah. I mean, when I said, like, there's things that the guys should do, the girls should do, I say that in, like, at least in the basic level of the relationship, there's things that you can agree on. Like, I'll give an example. So, for example, like, at least on the first date, you know, the guy should pay. This is what I mean by saying something a guy should do.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I mean. These types of things. And I understand that there is a moderation. Oh, it's okay if the girl pays. That's fine. You know, maybe later down the relationship, but there is something romantic or something about the beginning of the relationship that a guy should be the one to pay, for example, or even in marriage, something to do with, like, the woman is the one that's going to be closer to the child. These types of things. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying that there are things that are naturally, people fit in their places. So that was my whole point with that subject. Okay. Moving on to the next last two things for you, Stephanie. Are you excited? This is the last two things.
Tell me. The final two. Tell me.
The final two. So I personally agree with your message of kindness to people, doing good, being good. I agree with this. Okay, I agree with this this message that you give to people, and you talk about it a couple of times. But from personal experience and overall, don't you think that being too nice and being that type of person, you don't put your interests first? And unfortunately, there are others who will take advantage of either niceness or you not filling the gap, or where not you taking the lead in certain areas. And again, you will be self-aware later, how I am now. But do you agree that that happens? Don't you think it's good sometimes to be to say no, to be not bad, but to be not nice, and to put your interests first?
Yeah. Yeah, you can be a strong character. Like, being kind and being nice to someone doesn't always mean putting their interests before yours. مثلا, my kindness is spreading a message where, always be good to the other person. If someone needs you, reach out to them, and if you see injustice, try to change it. But because of who I am as a person, like, you can have a strong character and you can show people that you can, like, I'm trying to say this without swearing, but no, you can be like a strong ass independent person that if someone crosses the line, you're gonna like shave their hair off or something. But at the same time, you can be a lovely person, which is what I consider myself to be, in the middle. Like, you don't want to mess with me, but at the same time, I'm a nice person. So there's never reason to not be nice unless someone started it, and every action has a reaction. And why did I start being nice? No, why did I start being nice? No, like, why do I believe in
So you were
kindness
not
so
before.
much? Yeah. Why do I believe in kindness so much? Because the same problem can be approached whether you're a really like rude person or a really kind person. And with a clear intent, it's very hard for someone to take advantage of you. Like, ما عم بقلكن هلا someone saw someone in need, so they wired them a couple of dollars لنقول, and then they just kept saying, oh, I'm more in need, send me more. Oh, I'm more, be kind, yalla, send more. No, then it gets to the point where you're no longer thinking. Like, you're being kind can mail the other person, but is it, what do you think of this? Do you accept this? If you saw this happening to a third party, would you tell them, oh yeah, keep going? Or someone's taking advantage of you? يعني, we live in a time where we're so exposed to so much like knowledge, and we can just Google something, we can ask a friend, we can have an online session with a therapist. عشوائي. Everything is so easily accessible that if you don't know when to stop and what the limit is between you're being nice or you're just being taken advantage of, then someone needs to step in, give you some advice, tell you, oh, like, this isn't what it means to be kind, this isn't what it means to be nice. You need to back off shway, teach them a bit of right from wrong, which is what I do when I send out videos. Like, so many people respond to me, they send me direct message saying, oh, okay, I understand, I had a different idea of what kindness meant, but you clarified it. But here I go like, oh, stop, like, my way isn't the only way. But as long as no one's stepping all over you and no one's taking advantage of you, then you're fine. But yeah, if someone ever finds themselves in a situation where they're being taken advantage of, أبداً مش عيب, like, to ask someone for a clear idea if, oh, am I doing correct? Is it not correct? Blah, blah, blah.
I think
It can
that's
happen.
yeah, I think that's it would be lucky if someone can step in and tell you, you know, be careful, and you know, you need to watch out. I think whether it's from me or maybe most people, they either find out after. I mean, for me, I always realize maybe after that either I'm being taken advantage of, or I missed the boat on something, or I could have done this thing better. And I think it's definitely a better teacher, is when you realize
Yeah.
that
Yeah, أكيد.
you know, you've made the mistake, and that's a better teacher, that you have to then make that change.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So Stephanie, the final question for you.
The final question.
Final question. I wanted to bring it to the show a bit. I love asking this question. Everybody knows it, and I love asking it. But you have an understanding of fame, of like famous, being famous, that kind of stuff. You yourself are on that sort of path of let's say becoming, you know, you are already so to speak viral, famous in that way. And you were talking about how, you know, nobody has it all, and celebrities are also suffering the same way. Do you think maybe, and again, this is just me asking you the question, right? Don't you think you're acting this way because you're not in the celebrity's position? Because we tend to say that because we're not in that position? Or do you think this is something that you will always stay true to?
هلا, people jokingly said, Shoo, you're gonna forget us now that you have 20,000 followers on Instagram. I'm like, guys, what is you talking about? Of course not. What do you mean? And I was like, this is so silly. Just because I gained a few followers doesn't mean I'm going to change. But you never know what a certain collection of circumstances can do to you as a person. Me as Stephanie Haddad, because I've been so true to myself since I was young. I've been through like a lot of ups and downs and a lot of life incidents that could have shaped me or broken me as a person. And I caught myself in times when I needed to, and I built myself back up when I needed to, and I kept going. I feel like I know what it feels like to be completely lost and you don't know where you're headed and whatnot, that now I'm so grateful that I have this clarity filtered out that I do not want in my life, that I'm in such a good place, and I'm very grateful that it's very hard for me to lose sense of what is important and what isn't. This is me personally speaking. But of course I can never fully be sure until I actually get to that point. Yeah, I guess that's it. And I'm proud, and it's so become snobby and, oh, I'm famous, ما حدا يحكي معي. I feel like it's so difficult and it would probably never happen. And if I were to become famous and become a celebrity and whatnot, I would love to be that celebrity that doesn't give a crap and is still themselves regardless. Mic
Awesome.
drop. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. No, I think I just wanted to discuss it because you really touched on that topic, and I think it's a great subject, and it really ties into what we are trying to, try to do here on the show.
Awesome.
I will cheat a bit and say there is one more bonus question, and say do you have a question for me?
Oh yeah, why'd you name your podcast Nobody's Famous?
I love that question, actually. I think so for us, the way that it started out is we really just wanted to, like yourself, create a platform and also try to get all these different amazing and interesting people to talk about their story, but we don't want to limit it to either you being,
Famous
you already
or not.
famous or not, or you've had an impact on society, or you just have a bunch of followers, or you're an influencer, or you are somebody that is what do you call it, like just super well known and you're known for something. We wanted to kind of normalize the concept of fame, try to make things a little bit more humble, less extreme.
Nice.
And try to bring in all these different types of people that nobody has
That's
ever heard of.
awesome.
Yeah, bring people that nobody's ever heard of and just have them share their experience, who they are as a person, and hopefully these people, whoever is listening, these people have shared something that is of value, of insight, and then whoever is listening can really learn from that experience. But also anyone to feel that this show is for them. This show is awesome. I mean, I was going through some of my photos today of the show from 2 years ago when we started, and I found so many amazing moments, so many amazing times that I've been with people on the show, and funny times, all that stuff. So so far it's been an amazing journey, and yeah, I think this is the reason we wanted to always keep it humble in a way.
Awesome. That's awesome. And obviously you can't limit the important stories down and only to the celebrities when there's 7 billion people on earth with many valuable stories. So
exactly.
Chapeau.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm gonna outro us, and I just want to say, any last words, anything that you'd like to say?
That's all. Everyone just keep self-expressing and never be afraid to be yourself. Honestly, that's always it.
Awesome. Well, that has been the Nobody's Famous podcast with the one and only Stephanie Haddad. Thank you so much for joining. We'll catch you on the next one. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Anghami, all these places. You can listen to Stephanie's wonderful, wonderful voice, and on her road to becoming a voiceover artist. This is your next step.
Maybe, you never know.
Yeah. So thank you so much for tuning in to the Nobody's Famous podcast.